What's up, you guys? It's Cody, your Utah Realtor. We're back in the office today with another video coming at you with a couple of stereotypes and myths about Salt Lake City and Utah overall. There's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the type of people that are in Utah, what we like, what we do, and just kind of the overall lifestyle that we have here in Utah specifically. So we're going to be covering some of those. We're going to debunk some of them. We're going to prove some of them true, and I'm going to give you everything you need to know about these different types of myths and stereotypes. Real quick, guys, if you are thinking about making a move here, make sure to get in touch with me. My information's here on the screen as always. Call me, text me, email me, get a hold of me any way that you need to so we can have a discussion about the type of home and lifestyle that you're looking for when you do make your move out here. Let's jump right in. We're going to start with number one on our list, and that is the Mormon population. Now, obviously, Utah is known for the Mormon population, and I'm trying to be totally unbiased here and just give you the facts about what the current makeup of the state is for that population. So when you look at Salt Lake County, the actual county is less than 50% Mormon. We're sitting right at 49% for the county overall. If you get into the downtown area, there's not a ton of statistics out there about what the exact number is, but in Salt Lake proper, you're probably going to be like 25 to 35% LDS. So the population for the Mormon church there in the downtown area is much lower than the rest of the state. Now, if you do get into other parts of the state like Rich County, Morgan County, and Utah County, the percentages are very high. You're going to find that the percentage there will range anywhere from 82 to 84% Mormon. So if you're in those counties, you're going to see a very high population. If you're not in those counties, let's say you're in Salt Lake or you're in Wasatch or Summit County, the percentage is much lower. Like I said, it's going to be a minority in those counties, so you might not even notice that it's really a big influence here in the state overall. When you do look at it on a bigger scale and you look at the entire state, you're going to find that you've got about a 62% Mormon population here. Now, this is just information that's actually provided by the LDS Church, so none of this really takes into account whether or not these Mormons are actually active or inactive. There's a lot of people who are on the church books who are not active members. If you're only looking at the very active members, I'm sure the percentages are going to be quite a bit lower in each of the respective counties. All right, moving on to number two, we're going to be talking about the political makeup of the state. Now, I don't want this video to come off as, biased one way or the other. I'm not trying to get into politics. Again, I'm just trying to give you the facts about the state and just kind of debunk some of those myths or stereotypes that you might have about the actual state. So if you look at Salt Lake County and even Salt Lake City proper, you're going to find that it's actually more liberal leaning and more democratic. There's a lot higher percentage of voters who vote independent or democratic in these areas. Although Utah as a state is very conservative. So once you get outside of Salt Lake County, the rest of the state is very conservative and usually votes Republican. So that's why Utah is usually considered a red state. Although I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of transitions over the coming years to being a more, to being kind of a swing state, right? Where it could go either way just depending on who's running for president or who's running for Senate or the House, right? So when you look at Utah overall, it is very conservative and it is a red state. But when you get into Salt Lake County and into Salt Lake City proper, it does actually lean a little bit more liberal and democratic. All right, so enough about that stuff. Let's get into some of the more fun items here. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple food things. I wanted to group these all together. So the first thing on the list, apparently Utah is very well known for green jello. I didn't know this was a thing. Green jello is not something I eat. I mean, I've seen it around, sure, but I didn't know that Utah was apparently famous for it. And in fact, we even have an Olympic pin from the 2002 Olympics that we had that commemorates green jello for the state of Utah here. So apparently it's a huge thing. Apparently everybody kind of knows Utah as being, lovers of this green jello. I've never really, done that, but hey, apparently it's a thing and apparently a lot of people really like it. Next on our list is what's called funeral potatoes. These are called funeral potatoes because if you go to any funeral here in the state, there's a very high likelihood that this particular dish is going to be at the funeral. This is a very popular dish here. It's basically just hash browns and cheese and possibly sour cream and chicken broth, kind of all mixed up into a casserole. It's a super delicious dish and something you definitely want to try if you haven't done it yet. If you do move to Utah, you're going to get your fair share of it over the years to come. And the last food item on our list is fry sauce. Now, this is basically just a mixture of ketchup and mayonnaise and it really started here in Utah. It is starting to spread to other states and even around the world at this point, but a lot of people still don't know about it. Fry sauce, like I said, a mixture between ketchup and mayonnaise. You mix it together, it goes great on fries, it goes great on burgers, hot dogs. I mean, pretty much anything you want to put on it, it's a great dish. You will probably either love it or you're going to absolutely hate it. Next on our list, we're actually going to talk about polygamy. So moving back to kind of the origins of the LDS church, polygamy is basically the practice of having multiple wives. Now, you might think of that, and a lot of people will say, oh, Utah, that's just full of a bunch of polygamists, and they make jokes, how many wives do you have, or this or that. And the truth is, it's really not that big of a thing here. I mean, it does exist. In fact, there are small communities of polygamists who live in certain cities down on the southern part of the state, particularly Colorado City and Hilldale. Those are kind of two communities where polygamy is still very prevalent, but for the most part, I mean, here in Salt Lake City, you might see it once a year, and that's pretty much it. There's going to be a couple families here or there where you can tell that people are a part of that practice, but overall it's not like that. We're pretty much just like the rest of the country and the rest of the world, where polygamy is not really a thing. So the LDS Church does not condone this practice, even though it was part of their doctrine in the early days of the church. But at this point, it is not an active practice, and it's not at all common here. It's still illegal. It has been decriminalized, I believe, but you still can't get multiple marriage licenses or anything like that here in Utah. So not really something that you're going to see, but a lot of people do have questions about it, like to make jokes about it, even memes. There's a lot of stuff that goes around in regards to that, but not really concerned, something you're not really going to see. Really quick, guys, if you've made it this far into the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking that button down below, and click that bell to get notified when I release new videos just like this one, so you can stay up to date on everything you need to know about moving to Salt Lake City or any of the surrounding areas. I release new videos just like this every single week, so you'll want to stay up to date. Also, get in touch with me if you're thinking about making that move. Again, my information's here on the screen. Let's jump into our last item. The last stereotype that you're going to run into here in Utah is that there's a lot of kids. Now, you don't need the U.S. Census Bureau to tell you that Utah does have a high amount of kids per family here. I mean, if you go to just about any park, you go to a shopping mall, you go to a store, you're going to see kids everywhere. There's a ton of kids here. In fact, when you look at the population of our entire state, almost 1/3 of the entire population is under the age of 18. So there's a lot of kids here, and there's a lot of families who have a high number of kids. It's really not uncommon to see a lot of families with 3, 4, 5, or even 6 kids. When you look at the information for most states actually sit somewhere between 1 and 2 kids per family. That means that the average household size is roughly 3 people, maybe 3.5, up to 4 possibly. Utah, we're sitting at about 4.3. So there are a lot of kids here, but that can be a positive for you because there's lots of parks, there's lots of kids activities, and there's a lot of things to do if you've got kids. So if you're moving here and you do have kids, you're not going to have to worry about them having friends to play with or having something to do. There's a lot of kids here, so that stereotype is true. Guys, that wraps up the video here. I hope this was helpful for you. If you did like this video, give me a thumbs up. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm to reach more people just like yourself who are thinking about making a move here to Salt Lake City, or even just want to learn more about the city and state itself. I hope this was helpful. Until next time.